Dis After Dark Podcast is sponsored by Unofficial.com, the home of Halloween Horror Nights news and rumors all year round. Find us on the web at www.hhnunofficial.com. So stop the fog machines and clear the cobwebs. It's time for another episode of the podcast that's nearly the same as all the others.
We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. If you would like to support Dis After Dark and the other After Dark Network podcasts, please visit our website at www.patreon.com/Dis After Dark. That's patreon.com/Dis After Dark. Thank you.
Warning. This show contains childish adult content and is intended for immature, mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. The views spoken are ours and ours alone, not those of any other bugger. If you're easily offended, we strongly suggest finding another podcast. Everybody neat and pretty, then on with the show.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you're listening to this episode of Dis After Dark. I'm Half Cut, and joining me tonight is, and I'll come to that in a minute, joining me tonight is the talented Mr. Chris Ripley.
Hello.
And also we've got well, it sounds like we've got Flynn in the background as well, we have, but he's not going to contribute much rather than growling. We have got P-Dubs himself, Mr. Paul Washington.
Hello.
Who hopefully will contribute more than growling. So that's good.
Well, you never know.
Well, I've been out all day. I've not long come home, so I'm half cut. And poor Flynn, he's been on his own since he's been on his own for about 5 or 6 hours, and he just wants a bit of TLC. He just wants his belly tickled because he's a lush. So that's why he's growling. I stopped. How dare I stop giving him tickles? What a bad dog owner I am. But
that's normally how we keep Craig quiet.
It's how we normally keep, yeah. If he's not in the toilet and he plays up, and that's how we have to calm him down. That's a good point. Sometimes we are a bit candid in this show, and sometimes you've got to be careful of that. But I think that's fair enough. I think he won't mind us releasing that information. But yeah, I went to London today with some friends and my wife, and I went to Harrods for the first time to see the Disney store. I've been to Harrods only once before, actually, which for someone that lives fairly close to London sounds quite strange, but they don't like my kind in there because I don't dress up, so I have to go undercover. But yeah, they've got like a little Disney store in there. I say little. It's a fairly large department, actually.
They have a Disney restaurant in there, don't they?
They have a Disney cafe, but we didn't see it, actually. And you know what? I only remember that about 5 minutes ago that it existed. So, but saying that, I didn't see it. I didn't see it advertised on the listing. But I think I did hear
a rumor they're refurbing it.
I know they do it every now and again because I'm pretty sure when it first opened, it was Toy Story themed. But I've seen it Peter Pan themed as well. So I think
there is also a Bibbidi Bobbidi boutique in there somewhere.
There is. That's so. Where the Disney store is, or where it ends, there's an entrance to go to the Bibbidi Bobbidi boutique. I think it's more expensive than America. Not very surprising. It's Harrods. Everything was more expensive. Although, saying that the Disney store prices were the same. So if a Simsum was £3, it was £3. But I couldn't use my discount in there because it was considered a concession rather than an actual Disney store. So they wouldn't let you use the discount in there. But yeah, there is a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. But yeah, I think it's also more expensive than the Paris one as well.
Did you get lost in there?
No, it's
I
not.
always get lost in Harrods.
You mean in the shop itself?
Yeah.
We kind of did with the people that we were with, who were supposed to be experts, but not too badly. We went to the so my wife can be very hilarious at times, and one such thing was we saw a sign for the Egyptian escalator.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So I made a joke of saying, "Oh, you know why it's called the Egyptian escalator? You have to do this," and then did the kind of walking like an Egyptian pose.
Thinking
how hilarious I was. Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, that's a romantic." That's how she talks. She's a bit like a cross between Janet Street Porter and a parent of Charlie Brown. And anyway, we got to the Egyptian escalators. We're going between floors, and she said, "I wonder." First of all, she said, "I wonder what they were thinking when they built this." And I said, "Probably Egypt." Because basically it's all sculptures with like Egyptian hieroglyphics and iconography and stuff like that. And we're going through this lift, and she said, "I wonder why Egypt?" And I went, "Well, because it was owned by Mohammed Al Fayed." She went, "What? And I'm supposed to know he's Egyptian?" I was like, "What do you think he was?" And she went, "Well, Muslim." I was like, as if Muslim's a country. And but we was going through it, and she was like, "Well, how long has it been here? Like, how do they build everything around it?" I was like, "They just refurbished it." So it could be classic. We also walked past, I'm not sure what shop it was, but we was on Old Bond Street, and there was a shop that had roses all around the entrance. Like, so it went up one side of the doorway, across the doorway, and down the other side. And as we walked past, she sniffed them, she went, "Oh, they're real!" As if that was an odd thing. That there'd be real flowers in London. Very, very strange, though. We had a good day.
I tell you what, Harrods does remind me of Vegas.
Funny you say that, because is it Fizu or Fazu or Furzu? There's a mobile phone company. They do exclusive like high end crap looking phones. Let's have a look. I'm trying to find what it's called. And they've got loads of shops in Vegas. Vertu, that's it.
Yeah.
So a Vertu, just to give you an idea, okay? So first of all, a Vertu phone, VERTU, looks like an old Nokia. And I'm talking like 8810 type of stuff. Early 2000 technology. Look ugly. This one I'm looking at now, admittedly this is on the Selfridges website, but they sell it in Harrods as well. The Signature 18 karat red gold and stainless steel mobile phone, looks tacky as hell, is £26,400.
I'll take two.
Well, yeah, one for you, one for the wife. Meticulously handcrafted from the finest rare materials. Now let me just go back to the top of that. Red gold and stainless steel. I don't think either of those are particularly rare, but anyway. Signature is the outstanding elementary expression of Vertu's vision and a passport to a world of possibilities, from 24-hour concierge to unique once-in-a-lifetime experiences. So basically, that's what you're getting with this phone. It's not the shitty phone that you're getting for your money. It's this luxury lifestyle that you get with it. But you get these phones in Vegas. And I know what you mean. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that you would only expect to see in a place in somewhere like Vegas, where money and class do not meet. Do they? Let's be honest. We picked up, our friends go to Harrods quite a bit, and they said, we play this game called Guess How Much This Costs. And we try and pick something up and guess how much it is, normally around clothing. So we walked through the kids department, and there was this military jacket, right? Now, I had an identical military jacket and always got laughed at for wearing it because I'm not in the Libertines. And so I don't have it anymore. But they had a kids version, and it was Stella McCartney. So our friends picked it up, knowing that I had this jacket as a laugh. I said, well, guess how much this is? And I think this jacket was for a 6-year-old. Okay, it's not a baby, but, child. And it was just a military style jacket with some, white pipe and everything like that. How much for this jacket?
200 quid.
200 quid. Mr. P-Dubs?
I'm going more. I'm going about 400.
Oh, really? Oh, come on. They're just being silly both. It was £180. But honestly, if you saw this thing, I mean, there was nothing to it. It was the kind of thing you'd expect to pay in Primark for like a tenner. It was amazing. There was a kid's handbag shaped like a piece of pizza, and that was 200 quid. Just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. But it does teach you that money doesn't buy you class. It really doesn't. Really doesn't. But yeah. So Harrods is a bit of a strange shop. But anyone that's coming to London, you've got to go to Harrods at least once, just because it'll blow your mind. I think it's a little bit like when Michael Jackson went to that shop in Vegas.
Yeah, it is a bit like that
documentary, which is still there actually, isn't it? That shop.
It is in the Venetian. Yeah,
That's
I've been
it.
in there.
Yeah, I know they've still.
It just sells everything. You'd never go in there and buy anything because there's nothing in there you actually need.
Well, no, clearly,
You know
no.
what I mean?
It's ludicrous. And they've actually, over the last time, I mean, I've not been for about 4 years, but when I went, there was a sign in the window as like a shrine to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's still there. And a video on loop of him in it.
Yes, that's right, in the other window. Yeah. So he's clearly still bankrolling him all these years afterwards. Oh man, yeah, tacky. But yeah, so we went there. We went to the Disney store on Oxford Street as well. Went to a few other shops, Food and Planet, which I think a lot of our listeners would like a shop like Forbidden Planet, which it's a comic book store essentially, but it sells anything to do with films and TV, really. So if you name it, they've probably got something, at least one thing for it.
Doctor Who.
They have got one or two things for Doctor Who, absolutely.
Yeah. I do love Forbidden Planet.
Yeah, I used to go to Forbidden Planet. It used to be in a different location.
Yeah, and really small where you couldn't even swing a cat.
Well, what the one? What the new Oxford Street one? Or do you mean?
Yeah. No, the tiny little one that was.
What is it? There's. Oh right, okay, yeah. No, the new Oxford Street one wasn't too bad, but I did outgrow it. But yeah, I mean the one they're in now on Shaftesbury Avenue is pretty large.
Yeah, but there's a bit of an urban legend to do with Forbidden Planet, isn't there?
Go on.
There was, well, this is what I've read online. There was two brothers that both started it, and they fell out, and one kept the business, and then the other one started up Forbidden Planet International.
You're getting confused with Twix. Which is very, very.
And the factory had 2 lanes, and
yeah, one put the caramel
chocolate with a biscuit in the side. Yeah,
with caramel on it. You could be right, actually. I'm not sure the relationship, but yes, Forbidden Planet was essentially split into 2, because I remember I used to go to that one in London quite a lot with my old man when I was a little nipper, but we would also go shopping places like Milton Keynes, and Milton Keynes had a Forbidden Planet, but it was tiny. It was like a proper comic book shop, i.e. just a shop rather than this kind of almost megastore type thing. And yeah, so at some point in the early 90s they split off. So there's 2 websites. There's Forbidden Planet and Forbidden Planet International, and they essentially both sell the same stuff at kind of the same price. But it happens quite a lot because Aldi was like that. Aldi was started by 2 brothers, and there was a family rift, and the other brother left and created Lidl, and possibly more famously Adidas. The Adidas brothers fell out, and Puma was born.
Blimey.
Yeah, so it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon at all. But yeah, so there are, and some of the shops, because the signs are very similar as well. So I when I go into Forbidden Planet, I'm not ever like wherever I am, because they're up and down the country, but they are owned by 2 different sides of the 2 different businesses. But I'm never sure which one I'm in, because everything looks identical. It's very, very strange. Very strange.
We've got an international in Nottingham.
Okay. I'm not sure which one that is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's the London one or not.
No, the London one's
It's
just the
Forbidden
normal
Planet.
Forbidden Planet.
Right.
Yeah.
But But if you like comic books and stuff, because to be honest, I got excited. The last time I went to Orlando, I found that downtown Orlando had the world's biggest comic shop, and I was like, this has got to be something. And we drove about 30, 45 minutes from my drive to get to this comic book shop, and they weren't wrong. I mean, it probably was the biggest comic book shop in the world, but it was just a bloody big warehouse with lots of open space.
Oh.
So it was like a big area that's taken up by, where you could play Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games. So...
It's a bit like they got the world's biggest McDonald's. It's a bit pointless, isn't it, really?
Anyway, I did get half cut in Forbidden Planet. So that was me drinking some cherry breaks and Maxicals. Other drinks are available. But I did end up in Bubba Gump's, of which... we have one in the UK. Much to the surprise of Adam, who no doubt would be listening to this episode. We've not had a Bubba Gump's long, considering the chain is, I think, about 21. I'm sure it was 96 it opened, the first one. But yeah, so we've not had one in the UK for long, and we've only got one, haven't we? We don't have another one anywhere.
Not that I know of.
No.
No,
London was definitely the first, and that was only a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. But I don't think they've opened up anymore. But yeah, so I've been drinking Corona Ritas, which is misleading actually, because on the menu it says Solar Rita, because when they first opened, they didn't sell Corona; they only sold Sol. It's the same drink, margarita with a beer stuck in it, but they obviously couldn't call it a Corona Rita if they're not serving Corona.
It's actually, you should refer to it as its colloquial name, which is called the Amanda.
She's not here to correct me. But
Well, that's what we all call it anyway.
I was about halfway through the drink before realising there was a Corona stuck in it. As much as I was enjoying it, I didn't even notice the beer was different. But they're very boozy. So I got into a little bit of a food coma, and on the drive home I've sewed up a little bit, but I'm still a little bit half cut. So hence that. Anyway, glad everyone's well. I've just announced what I am drinking. I'm not drinking a Corona Rita now. I am on the soft drinks because I've got work tomorrow. But Mr. Ripley, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking, and there's a reason behind this. It is a Russian Imperial Stout from a craft brewer called Brewdog, which if you've ever been in a Byron's, that's the beer they sell in there.
Yes.
And the name of the beer is called Cocoa Psycho.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's a reason behind it, because my new book is called Psychos.
Cheap
So
plug.
there was cheeky plug for the new book. You won't like it if you like Disney, because it's all about the Psycho films. But interestingly, Alfred Hitchcock, who made the first Psycho film, him and Walt Disney hated each other like a passion.
Really?
Yeah, because I think Walt was a fairly driven, serious kind of man, and Alfred Hitchcock just used to take the piss all the time.
Right.
And he would go around saying stuff like, "Oh, I'd love to film a murder in Disneyland," and all this sort of stuff. And then, "Oh, if Walt Disney doesn't like his actors, he can just screw them up and put them in the bin," and stuff like this.
Right.
So there's quite a lot of banter between the two of them.
Yeah. Well, and it's that. And sorry, because it's this obviously isn't true for everyone, but I think we, as the UK, are known for our sense of humour, especially sarcasm.
Yes.
And as you say, what we now kind of refer to as banter, which is being trying to be a bit derogatory, but in a polite way. Think about how we treat Lee Malaby. We love him.
That's just bullying.
We love him, but we also take the piss out of him. That is, kind of banter. And sometimes I think that goes a little bit over people's heads. Or think of Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy, how
Nothing goes over his head.
his reflexes are too good. Yeah, maybe a bad example actually, but yeah. So maybe that was it. But I mean, I'm sure there are people that like Disney and Psycho. Amanda,
Yeah, probably.
Amanda likes both.
Yeah, Amanda does. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's probably quite a niche.
Yeah.
I mean, prove me wrong. Message me. Let me know. But
they won't. You could give away a free copy of the book, and they probably wouldn't even contact you, to be honest.
Well, Amazon was giving away a free copy, and they had something like 3,000 people apply for it. So
what?
Yeah.
How dare they?
Yeah, they do these giveaways on Amazon. You have to answer. You have to like on Facebook or follow me on Twitter or something, and then they get entered into a prize draw, basically.
Although saying that means they've had to have bought the book to give away. So that counts as a sale, doesn't it? Oh, that's good. Okay, fair.
I get one sale, and then 3,000 people know the book exists, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I suppose that's not too bad in the grand scheme of things. Mr. P-Dubs, what are you drinking?
Really boring. Just a lemonade. Work in the morning.
And a run today, so you've been good boy. Been a good boy.
Yeah. You've been very good.
I did. To be fair, I did walk 9 miles around London shopping, so I think I deserved a few alcoholic beverages to wash it down. And actually, I've been to a Brewdog pub.
Have you?
Yeah, I don't know how many there are.
Where's that?
There's one in Shoreditch, because of course. And there's one in near Wimbledon way, Clapham Common.
Blimey, what have you been doing on Clapham Common?
No, I don't go there myself. I went to Shoreditch, but there's one around that part of the world as well. I think there's one in Glasgow, because that's where they originated from as well. But yeah, they've got a few bars, and they of course mainly sell their own.
Oh yeah, they
bottles.
do. Yeah.
But it's quite nice actually. They had a few pinball machines in there as well, like proper. They had like an Addams Family, and what was the other one they had in there? I mean, Addams Family is a classic if you like pinball machines. Might have been an Elvis one or something, but who cares? Addams Family, best pinball machine. Anyway, we didn't come here to talk about pinball machines, me getting drunk and walking around London. We better talk about some Disney news. We're only 20 minutes into the show. But there's been, I'd say, some pretty big news. And I was very eager to try and do a record as soon as possible. Because there was, and it came out of the blue. I think this is a thing as well. It came out of the blue. There was an announcement made on Friday morning that basically the Walt Disney Company had bought some more shares in Euro Disneyland, because that's what the holding company is still called, and they are looking to purchase 95% of remaining shares. So just to kind of go back, I'm not entirely sure if it was a legal requirement, but when Disney first approached France with building a theme park, it was a legal requirement. I thought it was.
Yeah, it was.
That it couldn't be owned outright. So Disney did what they did in Tokyo, which is what they they did a joint product, which means that they owned a certain percentage, and the government would own a certain percentage, which would be put on the stock market, I believe. So it wouldn't be owned outright by the government. It was just to put on the stock market, wasn't it? I think.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, don't worry. It's not because we're lazy. This press release doesn't explain all that kind of stuff. But it's to give you a bit of background. And I mean, they were hard on selling shares. I mean, they were basically telling people to put their pensions into Disneyland stock because it was going to be doing so well. So people invested heavily before Euro Disney opened its doors in 1992. That didn't really come to pass. And in 1994, it almost closed, almost went bankrupt. And it was pretty much saved by a company called Kingdom Holding, who is who was it run by? It was a company that was held by a prince in Dubai. And
yes,
this was kind of before, to me, Dubai started to become a big thing in like the early to mid 2000s. It kind of went for a massive growth spurt, didn't it? Like financially, everything was being built in Dubai, and then obviously the market crashed again. But yes, they bought shares in Disneyland Paris to kind of keep it afloat effectively. And over the years, there have been quite a few financial troubles with, Disneyland Paris. I think it's safe to say it's hardly turned a profit, which is actually quite weird, really, when you think something is as busy as it is. I mean, it's the most visited tourist destination or theme park in Europe, isn't it? But yeah, I think it's once made a profit, or a couple of times it might have just made a profit.
But the thing is, it's like the Channel Tunnel. That only just made a profit about, was it a year ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And that's probably slightly older than Disneyland Paris, isn't it? So
no. Well,
these things take a long time to get some money back, don't they?
Eurostar didn't start until I think it was 94, 95.
Oh, okay.
Because the first year, so when Disneyland Paris first opened, the only way to get there was by ferry or plane.
Oh, okay. It just took ages to build, I suppose.
Yeah. I think it was like late 80s that started. But yeah, I think it was 94. I went in 95 for the first time on Eurostar. But I'm not sure if it was 90. It might have been 93, but it was definitely it was after 92 that it opened. But yeah, you're right. And of course, over the years, they have changed how the shares operate, and they've consolidated and resold. And people have who'd invested thousands of pounds back in the day, we're seeing their shares going down to just a few pounds each. And in fact, I invested in 2009, I think, or 10. And I bought 100 shares for, I think I was paying about $5.50. Now, as of Thursday, when the market closed that day, they were worth 98 cents. Which wasn't a massive change, to be honest, over the last year, because I mean it's gradually kind of been going down, and it hovers somewhere around the somewhere between 1 and I'd say 130 on average. It's probably the average over the year. So it was nothing, that wasn't kind of alarming or anything like that. But needless to say, they bought out of the 10% that Kingdom Holding Company owned in Disneyland Paris' shares. In fact, I think they were the single largest minority holder.
Yeah.
They bought 9% at €2 a share. So they offered them essentially double what the going rate was that day. Now, if Disney buy 95% of Disneyland Paris shares, which is what they are aiming to do, then they will have to buy the remaining 5%. So it will mean that Disneyland Paris will be wholly owned by the Walt Disney Company. And essentially write off almost £2 billion worth of debt that they're still in by doing so. Which is what? Another Star Wars film? $2 billion sounds like a lot of money, but they'll recuperate that cost quite quickly. So that's kind of what's happened. Now, this has to be, because of the severity of it, it has to go through certain legal proceedings. There's already a case at the moment where some minority shareholders have put a court case against the Walt Disney Company because of what they feel is, how did they describe it? Mis-selling of not IPs, but basically Disneyland Paris use a lot of things under license, because it's not wholly owned by Disney. So they have to pay like a licensing fee.
Aha.
And this is why, and we talked about this ages ago, but this is why a lot of the hotels aren't themed. So now, like the Santa Fe is themed to cars, and the Cheyenne is mostly now themed to Toy Story. It's in the final stages. But in Disney World, like a lot of the hotels are themed, or they have things around.
If Disney's the majority shareholder, they would obviously approve these deals.
Yes.
Could they not effectively charge whatever they like for these license fees?
And this is what the court case is about, because essentially, these people that brought the case forward have said Disney having the rights to do this means that they've been overcharging Euro Disney or Disneyland Paris, depending on which part it's actually affecting, which in turn has caused them to not make a profit.
Right.
Because they're paying so much in licensing fees. So, that's quite complex, and that'll be going on for a while anyway. So this is something different. So first of all, this has to go through for financial approval. Until that point, at the moment, you don't have to do anything. But if this goes through, this will mean that Disney will offer the same as they did to Kingdom Holdings, which is €2 per share. So essentially, you've doubled what the share price was worth at that time, which is not bad. But what you will do if this obviously happens is that, and one of the reasons why a lot of people do buy shares, not the only reason, some people it may be, but I don't think everyone's can be tarnished on the same brush. You get a shareholders card. Now, when I was saying earlier on that I couldn't get a discount in Harrods, I have a shareholders card because if you own so much stock, so many shares in Disney, you can get a shareholders card. It used to be 100 shares. It then went up to, I think, 200 or 220, something around that kind of figure. I have 222 because I like the evenness of it, and that gives you 10% off in Disney stores in the UK, and it gives you various discounts on bits and pieces in Disneyland Paris. So that would go. Salon Mickey, which is a private members area, again open to people that have a shareholders card, where you can go in the morning. It's to the right of the park, and can basically be used as an alternative entrance. You go in and it's very looks like what would have been a room in Walt's house, probably in the early 40s or 50s, and you can have a drink in there. They offer food, but you very rarely get a food. It's normally like a pastry, like a croissant or a cookie. I don't normally have too many of those, but you can have like a water or a coffee or a tea or orange juice, and just have a bit of chill out time before you get into the park. That will probably go. To me, I think the biggest thing is that if Disney do take full ownership, is it does mean, I think, prices will go up.
Oh yeah.
Now, some people, Mark, Peter, if you're listening, I'm talking to you, would argue that Disney putting up the price, especially of things like annual passes, should have been done years ago. Because they need to make more money, and the annual passes were extremely cheap compared to other Disney parks. Of course, the flip side to that is that if you raise ticket prices too highly, that's going to probably have a negative effect on the amount of people that go, I think. I know they're trying to make, especially in America at the moment, they're trying to make Disney a is it it's not an exotic destination, is it? But what are they? They're trying to appeal to a higher class of clientele, I think, is how they describe it. So that's one way of weeding people out that you don't want to be there as much, is by putting the prices up. But for somewhere that's struggling with, in their opinion anyway, struggling with financial numbers anyway, does it make sense to raise ticket prices too much? Would you want half of the attendance, but at double the ticket price? I don't know.
Well, it's a tricky one. I mean, they definitely get the footfall, don't they? So the fact that it doesn't make money shows that, they've got to look across the board, haven't they, at what they're actually giving people and see where they've got any, gaps that they need to obviously be more commercial about, that's for sure.
Yeah.
For a start, they need to work on the car park that's next door, known as the studios.
I was going to say, do you mean the studios?
It's not really a theme park, though, is it? It's like an annex to the main park.
Yeah. It's very much an afterthought. Again, I think it's quite well documented that, that park was supposed to be MGM Europe and it was supposed to open in 1995. In fact, I've been watching it on YouTube because it is so glorious. You can find on YouTube, and I remember watching it at the time, a live special from the opening of Euro Disney on the Saturday night. It opened on the Sunday, opened on the 12th of April, but it was the Saturday night before, and it had a star-studded cast. Gloria Estefan, I believe, did a live performance. I watched it a few weeks ago, and it was hosted by the dream team, as I call them, of Pat Sharp and Matthew Kelly.
Wow!
At their hair prime. I'm talking perms and mullets. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. Never has something in the 90s looked more 80s than that show, let me tell you. But one part of the show, they talk about the future. And one of the things you can see is a map which they actually sold just after opening day as well. So it was available for a few years that had on it the Little Mermaid Adventure Ride, which of course never came to pass. And in fact, only came to pass in Disney World a lot later than that. And also what looks to be another Indiana Jones ride behind the Temple of Peril that opened up, which would most likely be the Indiana Jones adventure. That never happened.
Can I ask a question?
You may. I might not be able to answer it.
Well, I think you will. If Disney is now changing the deal that it has essentially with the shareholders and the French government, part of that original deal, I believe, was that they had a clear calendar of this must happen then you must build the train station, then you must build X number of hotels, then you must do this, then you've got to have a second gate. I'm sure that conversation said they had to build a third gate at some point. If they change the deal, will they renege on a third gate?
That's a very, very good point, and I think anything that happens like that would probably have to be negotiated. Anyway, I think that would be the case, and I'm almost certain because I managed another perk of being a shareholder was that you could get invited to a shareholders meeting. Mm-hmm. Normally they'd happen in Disneyland Paris and would normally be in French, so you'd only really be able to go if one you could get you work for someone that would pay for your travel to get there and translate it, or you just happen to be going there at the same time and you could get a ticket. But there was one in London a few years ago, 2012 maybe, I think, something around that time, and I managed to go to that, and I'm pretty sure it was 2022.
Wow.
They had to have a third gate. Yeah, actually, it was because it was either 2012 or 2013 because it was just after the 20th anniversary. Excuse me, just after the 20th anniversary. So it must have been around that time. So they said they had a while to go before that third gate, and of course, they're opening this year that Village Natures, which is like the Centre Parks place.
Oh yeah,
down the road. So, which I don't think was in the original agreement, but
that would count though, wouldn't it?
I think they were trying to get that to count as a third gate, but I don't think they'd be successful with that. If I'm honest, so I don't think it counts. But there was no kind of inclination of what that third gate would be. They said that Marvel had been considered because the question had been asked earlier on in that meeting if there was anything Marvel coming to the park, because obviously we knew the Disney World situation, and nothing, no rides were planned at other parks. But I think they just launched the meet and greet with Thor at the time in Disneyland. And so like we asked if, because the studio had basically bugger all in it, if that would be prime for like a Marvel ride, and they said no plans as yet. So they kind of hinted it could be
There's an article on the Telegraph.
Mm.
Well, there's an article on the Telegraph that confirms that says that the Telegraph received information that they were thinking of building a Marvel superhero theme park by 2022.
There you go. That's not bad, is it? I tell you what, I'm half cut. I don't actually pretend that I'm a Disney historian, and yet I've pulled that out of my arse without looking anything up. So I think that's pretty good.
Let's call you the Jim Hill of Dis After Dark, shall we?
Well, I think Jim Hill's the Jim Hill of Dis After Dark, but let's just call me Nick. But I mean, it would make sense, I think. I mean, especially with the rate at how popular the Marvel films have been, other than Captain America, which, as we've discussed previously, doesn't go down very well in France, but the other superhero films do, and they'd have no ties. That's the other thing. There's literally no ties. Nowhere in Europe has got a Marvel theme park attraction. Madame Tussauds has
Dubai does.
Yeah, I said Europe though.
Yeah, I know you said Europe, but Dubai, which is only a short flight away, does have, and it's only just opened, a new Marvel Superheroes Island.
Yes. Yeah, where's it opened?
So, do you reckon that was an old Marvel deal or a Disney Marvel deal?
Well, there was...
Do you know what we need on this podcast? We need a Marvel Superheroes expert.
If only we had
Craig's not here.
To be fair, though, I think theme parks is a little, it's not the same as the cinematic or TV universe. But I do remember, and again, this is when the financial crisis happened. So at one point there was about 4 or 5 theme parks in Dubai that were going to be opened. One of them was Universal Studios,
which they started to build.
Well, they put a sign up.
They built the arch.
There was a sign up, and they started groundwork. And there was, I saw some concept artwork for a King Kong roller coaster. This was before the King Kong attraction in Hollywood burned down, and it was going to be like a Dueling Dragons type coaster. But yeah, other than the arch and a road sign, I think that was about it. I don't think it ever went anywhere. And there was a few different projects on at the same time. I mean, to be honest, I think the only one that didn't have its finger in that pie was Disney. I think there'd been discussion, but they were a little bit more apprehensive. Whilst DreamWorks was going to have a park, Universal was going to have a park, Ferrari were going to have a park, although they did. And there was a couple of others. Screamscape was a good source for that information. I don't know if they had that archived. I think Disney and more also had quite a bit of concept art for it. But yeah, at one point, Dubai looked like it was going to be like a theme park capital of the world. And then it just all kind of faded away. So there was definitely Marvel. There was definitely Marvel attractions going to be in Dubai, but I'm not sure if what's opened up in Dubai was part of that original deal, which was pre-Disney, or if this was something that was cut afterwards.
Well, a little plug. We've actually got Jim Hill on strike next month to talk about some of the deals. So we'll ask him if there's anything in that deal. Yeah, we've got a recording with him at the end of next month. So
I know what he'll say. He'll say, "Well, here's the thing."
It is Jim's catchphrase, as yours is hello.
Yes.
To be fair. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, other than Madame Tussauds, I don't even know if it still has it, but it had a Marvel film and a Marvel section in Madame Tussauds in London. But other than that, I don't think there's any other Marvel attractions in Europe.
Not that I'm aware of.
No, can't think of any.
I think there's still a Police Academy stunt show in Germany.
What? Shut the front door now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Warner Brother world in Germany still has a Police Academy show.
I just watched City Under Siege. I kid you not.
Ha! Oh, when Michael Winslow pretends he's a robot. Love it. I saw him in London a few years ago. Do a 50-minute set. He was brilliant. Love that guy. Yeah. So anyway, back to Still. So it's going to be interesting. So basically, the announcement is that Disney want to buy the shares. That's the announcement, and they're going to put the same deal on the table, which is €2 a share. That's what they want to do. If they can buy 95%, they will have to buy everything else. Now, I don't, as I said, like the thing is, and Chris, you kind of confirmed it there. You know, the deal was French government. There was a legal reason why this couldn't happen.
They didn't want American companies coming in, did they?
Yeah. So unless they're willing to bend the rules, or the law has changed, which it could have done already, I don't know, because I think they've become more relaxed over recent years about American companies coming in. Well, I've got this from a French guy. So this isn't an official source, but this was somebody from France that I work with, and he still lives in France. And we were talking. I can't remember if we was talking about Disneyland Paris that day or whatever, but we were talking about how American culture in France and everything like that. And he said that until recently, France was the biggest consumer of McDonald's outside of America. That's
the biggest what?
The biggest consumer of McDonald's outside of America.
Oh, wow!
Which is big when you think about it, because I mean France is not a big country. France is not much. Is it bigger than England?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not massive by any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, it's certainly not a huge country in comparison. But yeah, so I think over the years that's kind of defrosted a little bit. But I don't know what that means. So as I said, this has to go in front of I think it's called the AMF, not to be confused with the KLF, which is something completely different. So this is not a done deal, and it's not compulsory. It's only compulsory if they get to 95%. And I'm a bit torn, if I'm honest. On the one hand, so the other thing as well. So shares after this announcement, shares on Friday closed at €2. So there was a massive spike that morning. It went up to about 209, tail off to back to €2. So if I cash in my shares now, I will get, if it stays as it did on Friday, and I'm sure it'll probably stay around that figure, €2, which is double what I would have got the day before if I sold them. But I'm not entirely sure that I want to sell them to Disney, because when I bought my shares, yes, it was so I could get some good benefits, that was great. But I also saw it, and I've invested more as well over the years, because I saw it as helping Disney out in a very small way. My investment of I don't know, in total probably about £400 or £500 is not going to make a massive difference. I know that, but you feel that you are supporting that company. And I go as well. It's not like that's the only thing I do. I also go to the parks, and I probably go to the parks more because of that as well. So
if they buy it and everyone votes that they can buy it, then your shares automatically sell to Disney. Am I right?
They have to get to 95%. So at the moment, so them buying this 9% has given them, let me tell you, what was their share? I think it was 85%.
Wow.
85.7. So before this, they had 76.7%. Now, after buying that 9% stake from Kingdom Holdings, it's gone up to 85.7.
Wow, they're getting there then.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Slowly but surely.
They bought the prince out, so.
he's still got 1%.
Oh, okay.
He's still got, so they only bought 9% of his shares, so
Gotcha.
he still owns 1%. So so they own 85.7. So they need just under 10% of people to sell their shares, and if they do that, which I don't know how many shares that is, so I can't speculate for that, but if they do, they'll have to buy the remaining. Now the question is, and I've never been in this situation, I don't know what happens next. Do I sell my shares now at €2, even though I don't want to, thinking that Disney are going to get their, meet the 95% threshold, and then have to buy the other shares, and then anyone that doesn't sell their shares before that point gets offered 70p a share or something? Or
No.
does it get to 95% and Disney go, right, or like 94%, and then Disney go, right, we'll offer you €10 a share? I don't know how it works. I've got no idea.
I think they would get more desperate because more people would buy and the share price would go up. But I would say to you, you should ring them up now and say, listen, Disney, this is Nick Branch you're talking to here. You're not just talking to any old Joe that owns shares.
I'm not
and I want DVC. I want an annual pass, one of those premium ones, so I can go to Disneyland and Florida, and send Walt's private jet over to pick me up.
Only this is a Dis After Dark.
Exactly.
But that's it. I mean, I'm quite reluctant to sell, and I don't. I think I want to hold on to them. And even they turned around and said, "All right, well, in the shareholders club, fine." That's not it for me. It was me having a small part of Disney.
But why do they even want to buy all the shares?
Because if they own it outright, so the park is $2 billion in debt, or coming up to $2 billion in debt. If they own it, they own the debt. They can clear that debt. By clearing that debt, that company then can make a profit. And then they're in control.
If they get the main company to clear the debt, that will reduce the amount of tax they pay on their profits in America.
Exactly.
Genius.
And then they said they're in complete control. So, right, annual pass is how much? €230? €500. Whatever they want to do, they can just do what they like because it's their company then.
Wow.
But at the same time, you would hope that with increased ticket prices also gives increased productivity and increased changes. So, one thing I think anyone that's been to Disneyland Paris before will say, depending on when they go, it's the most beautiful Disney park, or I can't believe how much stuff needs repairing, or I can't believe how tatty things look, because the maintenance is down. So, and that's it. People either think it's stunning, and I've seen it in both instances, so I know how bad it can get, and I also know how beautiful that park can be. But when the park gets those kind of things, so like the 20th anniversary, they got a big cash injection from the Disney company to do that. Well, if Disney own it outright, you want to build a new ride? How much? Yeah, we'll sub that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's none of this kind of begging cap in hand that we want to do stuff anymore, because it'll be theirs to do it with.
Why can't they do this anyway if they're the majority shareholder?
Well, again, it must be something to do with the French law. Because I said it's going to get to 95%. So, there must be a limit to what they can... you may be the majority shareholder, so you might be able to make decisions and everything like that, but you still need to have a certain amount to actually be able to own it. I don't know, you're right. I mean, the thing is, you would think, if you've got the majority, you have all the say and everything like that. At the same time, you don't get things like, I've never been asked as a shareholder for Disneyland Paris who I want the next chairperson to be, or the next manager of the park to be. Do you know what I mean? And I'm a Walt Disney shareholder as well. Also, I'm a Disney company shareholder. I get the opportunity to vote in shareholder discussions. So I could, like the last time it come out, I could vote for Bob Iger to remain as head of that. So you don't get those kind of decisions. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just how France do things. I'm not entirely sure. All I know is that the official rule is 95%. You then have to buy out everyone else.
Does that English lady still run the park over there?
Yes, Catherine. Yeah. I don't know. Catherine hasn't got in touch with us actually to come on the show to be a guest, so I don't remember her saying.
She listens though, doesn't she?
She better. And if so, you know how to contact me. But I think it's Catherine Powell actually.
That's it.
Yeah.
Catherine Powell. Yeah. So lovely lady by all accounts. Please come on. Don't go on dedicated to DLP. So it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time, very interesting time to be a shareholder, if you're a shareholder, and very interesting if you are a fan of Disneyland Paris, because it's going to have big repercussions.
I tell you, who never came back to us. That flaming Aussie that flamed us.
He didn't, did he? Flaming Mo.
He came on saying, "Oh, Disney's rubbish. Disney blah 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 blah." Yeah. Messaged him for a comment. Come on, nothing.
No. Yeah. You're flaming galah, mate. Flaming galah.
And they are annoying, them galahs, so yeah.
They are. They're bloody annoying.
Hey, Dis After Dark listeners. I want to invite you all to join us over on ScareZone, Halloween Horror Nights podcast. ScareZone is a news, interview, history, and commentary podcast all about Universal's premier Halloween event. It's hosted by fans and experts like me, Logan Seculo, former WWE superstar Scotty 2 Hottie, and Dis After Dark's own Chris Ripley. Subscribe however you get podcasts and head over to ScareZone.com for more information. We here at the show are proud supporters of Dis After Dark. And remember, keep your eyes closed and your ears open on ScareZone.
So that was a big story, which is good actually because it's taken up almost the entire show. But although to be fair, 20 minutes of that was me rambling drunkenly. So, but yeah, so obviously we'll kind of keep you posted as to when that story develops. But I think that's one of the biggest stories for a long time. I really do. And I'm glad your silence agrees with me. That's a very good question, Chris. Paul, that's big news, obviously.
Yeah.
But you've also got some big news as well.
Yeah. Opening dates.
Opening dates
galore. First of all, we'll go for the one that Disney have decided to stick up against Volcano Bay. Pandora, finally, the Smurfs are coming.
Oh. Hang on, wasn't she Adrian Mole's love interest?
Yeah, they've done a whole land to Adrian Mole.
It might do better than this, you never know.
Yeah, I think I'd rather see one actually.
27th of May, finally, we have an opening date, an official opening date. But there's talk that they're going to have soft openings earlier on in the month.
Which does happen.
I believe staff have been told they're not allowed time off over a certain week because they're going to be doing soft openings and things like that. So all those cast members that wanted some holiday in May aren't going to get it.
Wow.
But yeah, so that was the first release date. I know we've been waiting on bated breath for that release date. And then confirmation after...
Sorry, just 1 second, because it's saying it's always troubled me, and I don't know. This is a genuine question. How do you wait on bated breath? And what is bated breath?
God knows.
No idea.
Bloody English language. No wonder Americans speak Americanese. Sorry, carry on.
And then I think the one that we're all looking forward to, after Jim had commented that we probably wouldn't get both lands in the same year, Disney actually went ahead and confirmed that we will get Star Wars Land in both California and Walt Disney World not at the same time, they haven't confirmed that, but during the same calendar year in 2019.
Disneyland's meant to get theirs first, aren't they?
Yeah, but what Jim said was they expected that to open 2019. Walt Disney World would get it the following year, but they've changed their mind.
Ooh.
And it's both in the same year now.
So this is Disney's equivalent of rubbing its head and patting its stomach, or patting its head and rubbing its stomach, whatever.
I was told, and this is just, I don't know if this is true, but builders in Florida are not as good as builders in California.
Oh, that's fine talk.
That's
oh, you're going to ruffle feathers, you are.
There's more big companies in California doing more big projects, so there's more of them. Whereas in Florida, they're much more specialist, much more, and also the ground is swampy and it's difficult to work in.
And Universal have stolen all the best workers.
Or Universal have stolen the best. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I heard, that California workers are all building a giant wall for somebody at the moment.
They're not paying for it.
well, actually, what we'll do is we'll pay for it now, but then you have to pay it back. I think that's the new rule. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's Disney's mantra. We all got to have 25% increase on ticket prices, so we get new attractions.
Well, yeah, that leads to we'll talk about that story in a little bit. Actually, that's a good point. But so I didn't realise actually when they announced that date for that Pandora, I didn't realise my ignorance because I just don't care that it was the same opening as Volcano Bay.
Literally days between them.
Wow, that's
wow.
So which one officially is? If the dates are true, which one is first?
Volcano Bay.
Okay, by a few days.
Yeah.
It's still going to be really interesting how this goes because I mean, as you said, I think we're all extremely excited about Star Wars Land on this show at least. But Pandora's a little bit more interesting.
Well, they have sex with their tails.
Are we talking about Smurfs again, or
the Smurfs?
Yes, and the Smurfs. I mean, did you see? I saw a very short clip of an aerial. I don't know if it was a drone or a helicopter that had flown over Pandora.
Yeah,
you could see some of the floating mountains and things like that. I mean, it does look good. But on the other hand, it's about Avatar.
Yeah.
That's
if
like...
only they'd waited. They could have done like, what's the Ewok planet?
Oh, Endor. Absolutely.
Endor?
Yeah, absolutely. Endor. Absolutely. All day long. But the thing is, me saying that about Pandora is a bit like saying, look, in an art gallery, look at that painting. That's really lovely. And then seeing artist Adolf Hitler. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that good idea, bad idea.
How is that a comparison? James Cameron, Adolf Hitler.
And I'm half cut. No, what I mean is that Pandora looks great, but it's still Avatar.
Okay, I'll give you a comparison.
Yeah.
Universal decided to make the King Kong ride. They got it all into production. They were starting to build it, and then Universal decided to start doing Jurassic World. And that expansion pad it was built on was for Jurassic Park. So a lot of them were saying, "Oh God, I wish we'd waited. We could have done a Jurassic World ride."
Is that right? Well, I mean that doesn't. I know this is Universal After Dark talk now, but I can't get my head around the fact that Universal decide before Jurassic World was like the second biggest film of the year. They decided to do the King Kong ride, which is great, but then decided, that King Kong film that we're making, we don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, that was weird.
That didn't make sense to me. That seemed really weird because that's corporate synergy right there.
I think the problem with Universal is it's not the small firm it used to be. Since it got bought out, I mean, it's very comparable in size to Disney now, I think. Particularly at sort of corporate level.
Yeah, and I suppose the decision for King Kong to not be a Universal, Kong of Skull Island, for that to not be a Universal release was not down to the theme park, that would be down to the movie studio. So they probably wouldn't have much say with that, yeah. but still an odd decision. Anyway, yeah, I mean, yeah, it looks good, and I can't wait to see people's videos from it, and it does look like they've thrown a lot of money at it. Does anyone know? And I'm not sure who said it, but I remember hearing on a podcast that I wasn't on. I think a lot of people listen to this week's episode. I wish that was more podcasts, to be honest. That Avatar is actually. So I thought Avatar was a complete Disney thing, but apparently it's actually a joint ownership with James Cameron's company in finances.
What, the land or the film?
No, film. Sorry, the land.
Don't know.
I believe it is.
So he would get a. It is it? So he'd get a bit of the gate money.
So. I'm guessing it depends on what the deal they've done. I would imagine he's going to get a huge cut of merchandise and food sales and things like that.
Did you see how many action figures they sold for Avatar?
How much money do you need when you spend every weekend in the Mariana Trench all the time?
Those submarine voyages aren't cheap.
You can't buy a lot down there, though, can you?
You can't buy a lot down there, no. What you seen today, Jim? Fish. These stories are fucking fascinating, I tell you.
Megalodon.
Oh, if only. Oh, good news, everybody. Unrelated note, Sharknado 5 is set in England. Good times.
What? We should all...
We need to get that roller skating exec on. Do you remember that?
Googling it now.
Sorry, I just lost you for a second. Do you remember that roller skating exec we was going to have on?
No.
Yeah, we was going to
from Sharknado.
Yeah, well, no, from was it the Asylum? Is that what they're called?
Yeah,
it was the production company, wasn't it, that made those films?
Yeah.
Apparently, he roller skates around the office, but he'd only phone us. He wouldn't Skype us. Yeah, maybe we should get back in touch. Anyway, so we've got a confirmed date for Pandora, and I mean, I think the good bad news about Star Wars is it's about 2 years earlier than I was expecting, which means I've got that less time to try and actually get the money together to go.
Yeah,
well, sell them shares. You'll have a good start.
Oh yeah, I'll be able to dine out on them. At this rate, and going into another story, I won't be able to afford a bloody ticket to get into Disney World. It's gone up, haven't they?
Yeah.
Was it today? So we're recording this on the Sunday the 12th. Was it today they went up in price?
Yes,
I think. And I was told today, I'm not sure how accurate their source was, but is it $128 now for a day ticket to the Magic Kingdom?
It is only the day tickets that have gone up, isn't it, and the annual passes?
Yeah.
Everything else hasn't gone up, so multiple day tickets are still the same price.
Which doesn't make sense. Like, surely the whole point of... Well, I don't know how much an annual pass is now for Walt Disney World. But, I mean, they were certainly a lot more... Did they start at like $500 or something?
I think they're more than that. I think they're over 600 now.
Yeah. I mean, I know like the starting prices were a lot more expensive than Disneyland Paris. But I hate that comparison. Because you get a lot more for your money with a Walt Disney World annual pass.
Yeah, this is why it always makes me laugh, because Disneyland's annual pass is actually more expensive than a Disney World one.
And you got 2 gates.
Yeah. Because I've looked. Because our next trip I'm planning on, in fact, it'll be, talking of Star Wars Land, it'll be just after that's opened. But then I'm planning on going back to do Marathon Weekend.
Yeah.
So I was looking at annual passes because I was going to upgrade once to go. And I was looking at doing the full package because we're planning on going to California at the end of 2020. And the joint annual pass is ridiculous. It's something like $1,400.
Say what?
Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, that's not happening. I'm just going to buy a normal ticket for California.
Jesus.
Because I know that the trackers have been out to California a couple of times, and they said it wasn't worth upgrading their annual passes in Orlando to a joint one.
Yeah.
They said it was still cheaper just to buy week's worth of tickets.
So, I mean, at the moment, or very soon, WrestleMania is taking place in Orlando. And I'm quite active on a wrestling forum, and because of that, I actually created a thing about Disney World and theme parks in general. And a lot of people are going to WrestleMania, and so said, can anyone help me find a website where I can buy day tickets in advance to get into Disney parks, because I probably only want to go for 3 or 4 days. Because generally, if you're going to WrestleMania, you're probably going out for like a week. WrestleMania weekend takes up probably about 3 or 4 days, depending on what you're actually going to be doing, because this thing's all weekend long. So depending on what you want to buy tickets for, and so I want to spend the remaining days at Disney. And I said, to be honest, you're probably better off just buying an annual pass. Sorry, not an annual pass, but one of the 7 or 14 day passes.
Yeah,
you'll probably end up being cheaper then. And I think I can't remember much he was being quoted, but yeah, there was a deal on at the moment for a 14-day pass, and it actually worked out cheaper than buying a 4-day pass.
Yeah,
so it's like, I know it's stupid that sounds, but you know.
Yeah, I've just looked at the annual passes. The Walt Disney World annual passes are now just under $800.
Jesus! And is that no blackouts or? Is that blackouts?
I think so. That's the one. I don't think they have blackouts in Florida, but it depends. That doesn't give you access to the water parks, the cheaper one.
Right. So that just gives you access to the 4 main gates.
Yeah.
Okay. And no Disney Quest.
Yeah. No mention of Disney Quest at all.
Well, actually, I think that was taken.
Got NBA City coming soon, haven't you?
Boom! I don't think, actually, saying that, I don't think the American annual pass, or the American tickets have actually had Disney Quest on for a while. The UK tickets definitely did, but I don't think that's been part of the package for a while now, which could be another reason why attendance started to drop. I don't know, but yeah, because I mean,
there is a rumor going around that Disney Quest building, NBA are only going to occupy half of it. By the way,
which is what I thought the other day.
Just
because of the size of it, not because not because I actually knew anything, just because of the size of it. I see, because it's a big building.
It is.
It's a big building.
That's
interesting. I wonder who else they could get to fit in that building.
Oh, they'll just put another shop in there, I'm sure.
What? Who's taking with Marvel though?
Well, why? How come when Steve Jobs' widow is the biggest shareholder in Disney, why haven't they got an Apple store in the Springs yet?
Yeah, a nice big Apple store. What's the situation with Apple stores in Florida? Like, is there one in Orlando Mall or?
There's one in the Orlando Mall. Has got a Microsoft store, I believe. Might have an Apple store.
I hope it's as busy as the one in the Vegas fashion mall.
But Millennia has definitely got Mall of Millennia. That's definitely got a Apple store.
I mean, Apple just seems to be popular anyway. I don't see how having more than one within like a certain radius would have too much of a negative effect anyway. And I mean, you could have, just for example, you could have that one in Disney Springs to be like the Regent Street one. So that's obviously very specific. I'll explain. So the Regent Street Apple store's on 2 levels. It also has an area where they do Apple sessions. So that could be where somebody does a musical performance, or it could be where somebody's interviews. That's where I saw Ty Burrell, for example.
My man crush.
Both are man crush. I'm not
sure.
But
I've met him, and the man is. I was just going to get down and go, I'm not worthy, not worthy.
Which is quite funny because if that was Craig in that situation, he would get down and probably do something else. That's Craig. But yeah. So I mean, there's a bit of a performance space up there as well. So it's not just selling Apple products and everything like that. So they could probably do something like that.
Can I tell you a funny story about Ty Burrell?
Please do. I do.
our good friend Gary, that Florida guy.
Aye.
Shout out to Gary, because Gary's got a new podcast, by the way. So shout out to Gary and his new podcast.
Say what?
Yeah, he has. This isn't the story, but this is just a plug for him. It's brand new, and it is called. I think it's called the Bro Vision.
The Bro
So
Vision.
It's him, yeah, Bro Vision. It's him and some other people that are all Florida people, all talking about bro stuff. So anyway, Gary said to me, he's a big football fan. He said, me and Amanda have to choose American football teams to support. So he said, you have to go away and do some research and choose a team. So I just Googled, Ty Burrell supports which football team? LA Rams. I do.
Oh, what a poor choice. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
mind.
So I'm a Rams fan now.
Why not? That's
A Rambo.
to be honest, because I'm a Patriots fan, and the only reason.
Oh, you would be.
Yeah, but so exactly, this is my point. So the only reason is because the first game, the first American football game I ever bought was Madden 64 on the Nintendo 64, not in the year 1964.
Okay.
Before any of you gits say I'm that old. And at that time, the Green Bay Packers were the team.
Yeah.
They were winning everything. So I thought, well, that must be quite a good team. But the first time I ever watched a Super Bowl was the New England Patriots in 2007. And I can't remember who they were playing. And I literally knew nothing. I knew nothing about either of the teams. The last team I knew anything about was the Green Bay Packers. And I was like, okay, well, New England's got England in the title. I'll go with them. And then, when I was watching the game, when the game kicked off, there was a player called Dion Branch. I was like, well, that's a sign. And his shirt number was 83, the year I was born.
Blimey.
I was like, well, come on, if that's not a sign. And then
That's a sign.
they smashed it. So I was like, well, I made a good choice. It was only later I found out how everyone hates the New England Patriots. but I had no idea. So because that was how I chose my team, which I think is a fairly reasonable way.
I think that's
of
a
doing
pretty
it.
good. It's
Yeah.
better than mine, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, if I was in that situation, I'd have probably done the same thing. Just
Kind-
no one
kind of
else would do it.
It kind of reminds me when you say old. I went to my local cinema that I haven't been to for a long time, and it's quite run down. But it's one of them really old-fashioned cinemas.
Yep.
And I don't know if I told you this story, but I was buying the tickets, and I can't remember what the film was. This was only a few weeks ago. And I said to the guy behind the counter, he was only young, I said, do you know what? I haven't actually watched a film in this cinema since Jurassic Park. And he went, you mean Jurassic World? I went, no, I mean Jurassic Park.
Hey, it could have been worse. It could have been Congo.
yeah, Congo.
Oh, man. You know what? I'd like to do a drunk commentary on Congo.
Blimey.
Because, I mean, you would have to be drunk to watch Congo now. Holy
That-
crap.
That there is a new podcast idea.
That's a rough film. But it does star Tim Curry. So, shit film, Tim Curry. Great painting, Adolf Hitler. Do you see what... That's what I was trying to get at earlier. That's what I was trying to get... Anyway, that's far too much Hitler talk for this podcast. P-Dubs, was there any other stories that you wanted to bring up?
Just a couple of more ones. Mr. Iger's possibly decided to stay on for a little while longer.
Yes.
His contract runs out next summer, but they haven't found a replacement. So it looks like he will be sticking around for a little bit longer.
Because was it the second in command was the kind of tip to replace him?
Oh, he's gone.
And he left last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he second in command?
Because he'd been promoted to second in command.
Right, okay.
In the hope that he would replace Iger, and then I don't think the board particularly liked him and decided to get rid.
Right, okay, fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure in that situation if it was, he wanted to leave for other opportunities, or he knew he wasn't going to get the job.
No, he was let go of.
Right, okay. Yeah. So Iger's basically turned around and said, look, if you don't mind me sticking around for a little bit, I'll gladly earn another couple of $100,000 to stay on for another 6 months or so.
He'll go buy another franchise out somewhere.
Yeah, well, his wages went down, didn't they, last year? His bonuses weren't quite as big.
Oh dear. If anyone's
So he's got to make up for that, hasn't he?
If anyone's got a small violin they want to play for Bob Iger, please play in your own time.
I've got some off the press news.
That's the jingle for Hot Off the Press News.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I was going to say in between us, but a little show that should have debuted about 9 months ago was debuting this weekend. Rivers of Light.
Yeah, which we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah. So it actually has debuted, hasn't it? Was it Friday or Saturday?
I believe it was, yeah, because we talked about in the last show. You obviously talked loads about it when you was on for the entire show.
Right, yeah, I didn't listen to the rest. Okay, we'll just glaze over this section.
Yeah. So no. We was talking about the fact. Well, I think Amanda said that she didn't believe it would ever actually happen, and then, and then lo and behold, a few days later. Yeah, I think it was Friday. So I think it was the 10th. It had its. I think it's a soft opening. I don't think it was. It's not an official launch, is it?
No.
It was.
No, it's been like soft media and cast members and things.
Okay, so have you seen it?
No,
I've seen bits of it.
You've seen bits. Okay.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of YouTube videos. In fact, again, the trackers, Tim went to see it. When was it? Friday, I think.
Okay.
It looks lovely, don't get me wrong, but the story still seems absolutely shocking, like there isn't one.
Hang on. Sorry, I thought we was talking about the Rivers of Light, not Avatar.
Yeah, they seem to have followed the same trend.
Looks brilliant. No storyline. Okay.
Yeah.
So is that it? Is that kind of what it appears to be, or what people have said, that it just looks like
Just
what it
looks like.
Mm.
It kind of looks like a few lotus flowers floating around with some lights and some water being thrown out of it onto a screen.
Oh.
With some animals running along it. And that's about it.
Okay. So, well, I suppose at least they've got a nighttime thing now. I suppose you can say that.
As I heard somewhere else, someone went, yeah, it'll last for about 6 months before they decide to put some Disney characters into it.
Probably. That's what Zootopia's been made for, surely.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about nighttime things, I don't know if this was the next thing he was going to talk about, Paul, but, and this is huge news. In fact, this week's been pretty huge for news. Wishes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It's no more.
It be going. Well, it's still there now. So if you listen to this and this is how you're finding out, firstly, apologies. Secondly, it's not gone just yet. Is it the 12th of May?
Yeah.
I think.
Just before Avatar opens.
Yeah. So you've got a while to still see it, but not. I mean, certainly if you're in the UK and you weren't planning to go to Disney World, you're buggered if you want to see Wishes again. But yeah, so it is ending, and it's been going since 2002, 2003. Wishes.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Been around a while.
Yeah. I mean, I love Wishes. I do like Wishes. I think it was a good show. I hate to say it, but all good things. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's been on a long time, and I think you need to change things up every now and again, especially with a fireworks show. You know, even like, you know, look at Disneyland Paris, Disney Dreams. That's being replaced. 5 years on?
Yeah.
And it's had a good run.
And thinking about it, that was far more advanced than Wishes was.
Yeah, and from what I understand, have they named its replacement yet?
Yeah, is it Happily Ever After?
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Yeah. That's what I should call it. Happily Ever After. Oh, something like that.
Something like that.
That'd be a good title.
Where are they with the parades at the moment? Because they had a parade going, and they had one come in, and
No nighttime parade at the moment.
Yeah, Paint the Magic's gone. Is it Paint the Magic? Paint the Night?
Paint the Night at California
That's gone.
has been replaced by
Electrical Parade, Main Street Electrical Parade.
Yeah.
Well, what about Orlando?
They've got no nighttime parade.
What?
Well,
Nothing at all.
They had the Electrical Parade, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
weird.
they just have a procession of people on mobility scooters. Still my favourite off the cuff joke I made in a Disney theme park of all time was waiting for the parade, and they went down, 2 or 3 of them in a row went down Main Street. And I just turned to my wife and said, bloody hell, the budget on the Main Street Electrical Parade's gone down this year. Yet to be there. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's good. And, I'm glad to see it's going, but I believe it's going to be it's going to use projection as well, so it's not going to just be fireworks. So I'd assume Tinkerbell will not be flying anymore.
No, apparently she is.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because people had started moaning about it, and they asked, and apparently someone asked a cast member, I think, and I said, no, she's still planned to be there. We're not getting rid of her.
Okay.
But due to cutbacks, she can't use a harness anymore.
They're just using a massive catapult.
Yeah, catapult, just throwing her across the park.
Catapult and a mattress. Open for the bed.
Yeah,
I did like that story that Len and Jim said on the Disney dish, that they said that that's where possibly they'd been planning to build these cabanas, was where she landed.
Yes, yeah, I heard that, yeah.
And that she'd basically land right next to your cabana.
Well, that would be worth the price of admission, surely. Imagine if she come through the roof like from a comedy film. Tinkerbell landed up on your table and knocks all your beverages everywhere. That'd be hilarious.
The woman that does it, supposedly, when I did a tour there, is in her 40s, I think, and she's a elementary school teacher.
Oh.
But she's not allowed to tell her kids what she does for after hours.
That's better than the story that I heard, that it was a man.
Yeah. Oh no.
I heard it was Angela Lansbury in a wig. I prefer both your stories.
God bless Angela.
And all it's sounding.
Do you know, right?
Yes.
I saw her do the play Blythe Spirit in London about 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I said to my partner, I said, let's go around the back and get her autograph. There'll be anyone around there. It was only Angela Lansbury. Went round there. I'm not kidding you. There was hundreds of people screaming like I don't know, some pop band was about to come out, and they're all there shouting and cheering, hundreds and hundreds of them. And then this little dear old lady come walking out, jumped in a cab and disappeared.
Jesus, you know, that's what happens with 25, 30 years worth of Murder, She Wrote fans. They're all standing there with this season 1 DVD box set ready to get signed. Not surprised.
But the thing is, if you're a student in England, that's all you did pretty much for 3 years was watch Murder, She Wrote every day.
To be honest, and the weird thing is, and this is true, once ITV stopped showing it, the BBC started showing it. Very, very strange. That and Quincy.
Yeah, and Quincy.
Yeah.
Diagnosis Murder. Don't forget.
With our Dick.
Yeah.
Richard Van Dyke.
I was going to mention Angela Lansbury twisting her knob, but
oi, get your hands off of my knob! I might have to go and watch that now. I'll be controversial and end this bit about fireworks and say, I love Wishes. Sad in some ways it's going. Glad the replacement looks like it's going to be, up to standard. But I think Illuminations is overrated.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that hasn't gone first.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I would have backed money. Illuminations would have gone before Wishes.
Yeah. I'm talking about the Epcot version. Obviously, Disneyland Paris has got a show called that coming this year. But I think I had so much hype about it. When I saw it, I was like, no, I think I prefer Wishes. There you go. Controversial. P-Dubs, was that everything you wanted to talk about, or?
Yeah, there's a couple of other little bits, but nothing that is huge, really. I was just going to say, James Gunn's been confirmed that he's directing Mission Breakout.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he originally didn't really want a lot to do with it, apparently. And then they showed him what they were doing, and he went, right, I'm in, and I'm directing it.
So when's that due to open?
Sorry?
When's that due to open?
Middle of the year, I think. So June time.
He better pull his finger out of his arse then.
I think it's already done.
Oh, right, okay, fine.
I think they did it while they were finishing off the film.
Guardian, right, yeah, that would make... Yeah, because he's doing Infinity War now, isn't he?
He's executive producer on Infinity War.
Right, okay.
He's still cutting the new Guardians at the moment. But the Benicio del Toro was spotted filming months ago. And he's not in the second Guardians. He's in Infinity War, but it was believed that he was filming Mission Breakout.
Well, that would make sense because obviously his character is integral to that attraction.
Yeah.
From what we know. Well, the fact that it's being hosted in his building.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty much a giveaway. Sorry if you thought that was a spoiler. And also, so speaking about Guardians 2, they've done the first test screenings.
Yes.
And it's come back with top scores, like 100s, which is unprecedented. Yeah. I think the biggest scoring Marvel film before was the Avengers. The first Avengers. Obviously not Age of Ultron, because...
No.
But the first Avengers, I think, got about a 93?
Yeah.
Or something.
Though Marvel do it a different way. They don't have your typical test screenings. They have a thing called what they call family and friends. So basically, they pull in people that are related to actors, executive producers, even backstage guys. So it doesn't leak.
Yeah.
So spoilers aren't leaked on it. So it's not. You can't put it up against, say, any other movie. But got 100 out of 100.
You know what? I'd like to see what Age of Ultron scored with Friends and Family. I can guarantee you it was nowhere near 90s.
No.
And that's your Friends and Family. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. It's not a great indication, but, you know, I think from everything we've seen so far, I think it's going to be, knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
Although I did hear that Star-Lord's mum is actually called Martha.
And on that bombshell.
May or may not be true. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. I might have to cut out some content at the beginning. I haven't decided yet. I'm sober now, so I'll go back and listen to it. But thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you soon. I don't like to say when because I never know. Possibly next week. might be the week after. I don't know. We'll see how much glutton for punishments we are. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Chris, you gotta say bye.
Oh, sorry. Goodbye. Ooh.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast.
Right, and so for our other sponsor of the show, we have Wendy Prater at Magical Journeys Travel.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
The very beautiful looking Wendy Prater. Is she on your to-do list? Like if you meet her in real life, you're allowed to?
She's, when you open the wallet.
Yeah.
She's the picture in my wallet.
I get you. But other than our lust for Wendy, her her and her Magical Journeys are there to help you plan your next Disney vacation. So whether that's a Disney cruise or a trip to Disney World, Wendy can help you by getting your reservations at midnight, getting those all-important Be Our Guest dining reservations or meet and greets with Anna and Elsa. And I think if you quote this podcast, Craig, get a bit of a discount on your deposit, don't you?
Yeah, $25 off, yeah.
There you go. So, next time you want to book a holiday, give Wendy at Magical Journey Travels a little tinkle at wpmagicjourneys.com or on Twitter at wpmagicjourneys.
God bless Wendy and all that sailing.